Should you stop opening 6-star crystals? Learning that we have 7-star shards coming into future dupes in November? That's a topic we're going to discuss in this video. Let's face it, there's a lot of players out there, including myself, that are a bit concerned about where they take the roster from an investment point of view. Especially if you're non-spending in Marvel Contest, there is a really big risk of going, right, well, I'm not able to kind of like keep up with everyone else. And this could be a thing when it comes to the 6-star, not 6-star, the relics, and as well 7 stars. So these could be like two kind of like very big things that could be an issue, which we'll learn a bit more about as the weeks go on. And since last week, Kabam have been very silent on the subject, so kind of learning a bit more about the impact is kind of not there. But 7 stars become a bit of a genuine problem for players, especially from a acquisition point of view, and how easy it is to kind of dupe 6 stars to get 7 stars. And as well, the extent of going, okay, well, my first ever 7-star could be something like a Superior Iron Man, and you're there like, why do they even bother? Why do I even bother? So what inspired me to make this video is largely based on this poll that players had. It was kind of an interesting one. A lot of people got involved with it, 297 votes, which is nice to see involvement. And especially with the question being, will you open 6-star crystals before the November update? There was 109 people that voted for a will open 6 stars anyway, and 165 voting in no, waiting in case dupe cost me 7-star shards. Definitely with this announcement is kind of like put me in a bit of a weird situation. And also something to bear in mind, there could be players that were voting within here that could be from different types of progression levels. Like if you are Cav and Thronebreaker, you may be at a point that you're kind of like not there with an expansive 6-star roster, or that has been ranked up highly to things like, well, rank 4, obviously, because if you had 3 rank 4s, you'd be Paragon, and that would give a bit different type of kind of take home when it comes to 6-star shards. There's a lot of key elements right here. I mean, even if we go back to like a video that I made, I think it was last week, that identified that there was a lot of 6-star shards open for players to get, and we'll put you in a perspective of going, okay, right, well, how many 6-star shards am I able to get between now and a point in spring 2023 where I might be able to get X amount of crystals to get X amount of dupes of 6 stars to give me X amount of 7-star shards. And again, going back to Kabam's announcement where they said that 7 stars will appear on opponents in our November content, that will be kind of like where you'll be able to kind of like see them for the first time and add them to your collection in spring 2023. But I think one of the most crucial things is the November side of things, where it says start collecting 7-star shards. Starting in November with the release of 37.0, you can now start collecting 7-star shards whenever you collect a duplication on a 6-star champion. You won't be able to use these shards until 7-star crystals become available next year. You will need to update to 37.0 to get 7-star shards though. It does put me in a bit of a weird situation, especially because I was looking to take my roster, but I didn't know that 7 stars were going to be out before. I had this indication that I wanted to take my roster in more of a different direction, and that was do 6-star featured. I'm getting ahead of myself. 6-star featured for the first time in a little while. The reason being, I just wanted to kind of spice up my kind of champions that I could use rather than doing my usual kind of go for basics. And the other reason that I was most kind of interested in the 6-star featured this time was that the pool of champions that were going in it were actually quite interesting to me. Interesting in the sense of what's on screen right now. So shout out to Dan, Frontline MCOC, where you get all this kind of amazing info, which is the next 6-star featured is going to feature Wiccan, which is an alright champion. I love the character personally. The champion's good. It's just I like the character. Gauze, okay. Valkyrie, amazing. Gallon, amazing. Quicksilver, amazing. And actually, I quite like Titania. I like some elements that she has, especially with the debuff she has, and what could be applied and be quite kind of like overpowering and kind of she's just a lot of fun. So I kind of feel like I want that particular 6-star featured, but it does make me it makes me hold back a little bit as to how many I'm going for. So currently, and especially going after a week of not being able to play the game, more on that in the second video of today, I've only managed to get up to 150k 6-star shards, and that's 10. Now I am thinking that what I might do is kind of go, right, well that may be enough of my interest to go for that 6-star featured, because it depends on the amount of dupes. Now do bear in mind, like if I have, what is that, 10 6-star featured, that means that is me without an extra 5 champions or 5 champion opportunities. Again, should I explain that a bit more? Well, I think a lot of you kind of get that. I mean, if we're back in game at the moment. So crystals wise, they all add up to 10,000 6-star shards will get you a crystal, right? 15,000 is a 5,000 6-star shard loss, which you can see if we can just point out there. So the basic is going to be the 10k, and then the other is blah 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 blah. There's also the dual class 6-star, which is, you know, interesting enough for me, but it's not super interesting enough for me, especially because it's like 12,500 shards extra. And even though that may give me a higher chance to get a dupe, I don't know if it would be the best option for me. It may be a case that I will have to think about and do the numbers as to like going, oh, is a basic versus a dual class, is that a good kind of blah 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 trade? And also I hope that Kabam come to their, you know, potential senses and say that, right, we're going to change the dual class 6-star to be a 10,000 one. But I think the reason Kabam have done it is because they're putting 7 stars in next month. But in any case, I need to get to the point of this particular video. And the point is, as I said in the first part, there is that concern. There's always that concern as to like where you go with a roster, especially when it started off with a new starage rarity. And it is a case, it's a scary time. It's a scary time because I suspect after they release basic 7 stars, by the end of the year, next year, 2023, we'll have featured 7 stars. I know that 100%, but let's face it, it's just largely where they go with this. The biggest thing to point out with it is that where we're going to be with the crystal shard cost. Now, this is some hypotheticals. It is not a case this is accurate. I don't know any of this info when it comes to how much the crystal is going to cost, but I have to take it at a best case scenario when it comes to Kabam and a worst case scenario, because let's face it, there's always a worst case scenario with this. And that could be best case scenario, 10k shard cost, or worst case scenario, 15,000 shard cost for it. And if you do like the sums, and this is based on like the multiplication, and this is only if we're getting 275 shards, 7-star shards per 6-star dupe, it will mean 37 dupes in order to get close to that 10k or over that particular marker. If, for whatever reason, it is a 15,000 shard cost, and let's face it, it could be, I'm not going to say it won't be, but let's face it again, this could be Kabam, it could even be 20k. But let's go with the worst case scenario, it's 15k. And if it's 15k, it'll be 55 dupes of 6 stars to get to that point, right? So we have like those particular scenarios, and it could be a case of how you get there could be troublesome. So some quick facts and information is that it's going to be roughly 7 months until 7-star crystals are able to be purchased. That will be, you know, hypothetical based on April of 2023. In that time, there is potentially 51,000 6-star shards recurring per month. That's based on the stats of that video I posted. I'll put a link to it in the description if anyone's interested in watching it. But it kind of covered all that stuff with this particular hypothetical, which could lead to 357,000, 6-star shards, and that does not include perma content, nor does it include special content. I'm talking like what was a gifting event type of thing, so like a, you know, special crystal or whatever. That it doesn't include that, not at all, does not include any of that stuff. So it could be a case there will be a lot more available 6-star shards, and Kabam are saying they're buffing stuff in the future. So that's also things like, you know, it could be Alliance War stuff, it could be anything really that could see some kind of great amount of buffs to it. 6-star nexuses, stuff like that. You know, there's so many things that could kind of like open up those totals. But as well, you know, it's just going to be an issue of getting to it, which will either be a case of going, look, do I save my, now, like at this point, based on what we saw a moment ago with that poll, do you save now if you've got like a chunk of them? Possibly. If you're thinking about making a dent into your collection of 7-star shards, it may be a good idea to open them up once the new update comes live. And as Kabam say, like, you will need to update to 37.0 to get 7-star shards. And I would say with this, when the new update comes in, do be warned. Like, this is when the new featured comes in. So we'll have to find out whether or not Kabam do a bug or not. I really hope this launches without a bug, because it will be so important to players as to how they invest into the future for this. So if you're thinking about opening up 6-star shards in the or 6-star champions in the between now and 1st of November, right? Think again, right? Think about the future investment, because I don't know, like, Kabam can't guarantee that it's going to be a rosy future for you, but at least you will get yourself on a kind of like a nice kind of foothold on the ladder to getting up to that 7-star crystal for the very first time. Final thing I need to say is that even though you're doing all these kind of like methods of kind of getting dupes in order to get 7 stars and kind of like getting that process in and kind of thinking about the future, there is that realization that you could pick up something like this. And these are champions that aren't particularly great. My advice to Kabam is to establish a decent pool of champions which reflect the current meta or buffed meta of champions. So your Juggernauts, your Magnetos, and there's also some of the newer champions as well. Some of the, like Dr. Dooms and other things like that. But I think that Kabam will not put them in. I think they're going to be a bit kind of like stingy on them. And that's just a case of like once bitten, twice shy with Kabam. That's a sad thing I have to kind of say it like that, but let's face it, that we all know that to be true. So good luck in saving up for those 7-star shards, and make sure to kind of like get them when you feel is right. But do bear in mind as well, I know people want to elevate their rosters, and I do think that Paragon players and maybe Thronebreaker players will look to that future investment. I would say for Thronebreakers, if you're looking to invest into the future, into your roster, you may kind of go, I might need a 7-star for something. And let's face it, something to point out as well is that even though Paragon did not have a starage based requirement, let's face it, there could be a progression titleage coming up next year that requires you to have a 7-star and maybe have 100%ed a piece of content. Potentially. We just don't know. But that's been a video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you found those kind of like stats and information of interest. And we'll be covering a lot of this stuff as it kind of breaks in the future. So yeah, keep locked to the channel. And we'll see you soon. Check out some other stuff located on screen right now. Bye-bye for now.